Welcome back, guys. Automotive Inc. here. So, what this video is about is, should you cash in on a deal you might get on a 2023 L5P Duramax diesel in an HD, whether it be a Sierra or a Silverado? Or is there any benefit other than the new interior going to the 2024? Well, I think that can be kind of simplified, and then I'm going to put a link at the end of this video if you want to watch what I call the wizard, the holy grail of guys that can be involved in diesel engines. I'll link to his video where he's going to break down the 2024 L5P Duramax. Now, you might be thinking, well, yeah, the 2023 is getting 445 and 910. You know, should I upgrade that? I mean, is it really worth it? And the answer to that is you know, with the 2024, they did bump the horsepower, you know, from the 445 910 torque to 470 975. And you might be thinking, well, that's a nice little bump in horsepower. Well, these motors have plenty of horsepower. You could go vacuum to a first gen Duramax and have plenty of horsepower. But as we progress to now, and people are seeing it, we have larger cooling systems, we have larger everything, and you know, some of these towing ratings are getting up into 40,000, and that's kind of crazy to think that a pickup that's only like 22, 23 feet long with all this horsepower would be towing something that would be like a space shuttle behind it, because it would just kind of basically morph over that pickup. And I'm never going to recommend, you know, being a tractor, a commercial driver. I drive semis now. And, you know, when you get to that big, you need bigger, huge brakes. You need big tires. You need massive frames. You need all of this stuff. And even though these smaller trucks are doing that, you know, you don't have to worry about power. So whether you have a 17 Duramax or a 12, you're going to have plenty of juice. But those trucks can't necessarily handle the monstrous amount of weight that they're now saying that they'll tow. So your 11 Duramax is not going to be rated to tow probably even as much as my Godzilla is right now. And as we progress higher and higher and higher, so it's not really necessarily about getting that extra bump in power going from a 23 to a 24. And I do see some deals here in Denver on some Duramaxes, and I think they're pretty good. Now, not all dealers. Some dealers are still getting them in, believe it or not. They're still getting in 23s and 24s at the same time. And so if you want that new interior, you're going to have to go with a 24. But if you get, say, a 24 custom, you're going to get the old interior, but you will get the 24 L5P Gen 2 6.6 Duramax. Now, at the end of the day, you can go into it and say that the L5P, the bottom end, the stock internals are pretty much bulletproof. And it's been shown that these Duramaxes can push up to 1,000 horsepower just on their stock internals. So that's pretty good, you know, at the end of the day. But one thing that's for sure, you know, this 2024 Gen 2 is different than your 23. It's not just the turbo. It's not just the injectors. It's not just the fuel pump. They've really switched it up and really crushed it. So we're going to go through the list, and then I'm going to give you my suggestion. And then from there, you can make your own informed opinion. But if you want to watch some long-winded things, I know I'm going to get somebody like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. That's all right. That's all right. I went and did my research and then followed it up with the guy. I won't call him God because I'm not comparing him that, but one of the forefathers of the diesel performance industry. So at the end of the day, we got a new turbo, the Borg Warner turbo. A lot of different aspects of that turbo over the 23 that are worth you holding off and getting that. New pistons with tapered bowl, which will help with emissions and combustion. So like I've always told you before, and especially on that 6.7 Power Stroke that I turned down the 23, regens. Well, if you can make a better combustion, you'll make less emissions, meaning the after treatment system doesn't have to work as hard. So when I drove the 24 GMC the other day with the new version, not even a hesitation, a high idle aspect or anything like that. And I think that this is going to play into your after treatment process, maybe allowing a little bit more idle. The diesel's still going to need to be working, but nonetheless, new pistons over the 23. So, and again, all the guys that have a 17, 18, whatnot, as we come up into the 23, that was first gen L5P. Your engine is not like this at all. So we got the new pistons, we got a new cylinder head with cooling jackets, we have new high flow injectors, which we know they switched most of that stuff over to Denso, which allows them to give that fuel pump allows them to have higher pressure and push out of those. They're no longer piezoelectrics; they're like a solenoid injector. They did revamp the fuel rails to handle that extreme pressure. They improved the glow plugs. And as part of that, they improved all the springs and stuff inside the exhaust system, the engine itself. So this engine can now grade brake. And I know that was one of my complaints on my 21 Customs. I was like, man, I don't feel like the exhaust brake's working. It probably was, but this is going to be better. So I still think that the Cummins diesel has the best engine brake, exhaust brake, whatever you want to call it. Those are two different things, but we know what we're all talking about, right? The little button on the dash is going to help you slow your ass down in a pickup. Okay, so I think Ram is the best when it comes to that. For me, it seems to work in some circumstances, but the 24 I drove yesterday was awesome compared to my 21. Then they basically upgraded all the springs and stuff and the turbo vanes and actuators. So that's looking good. You also got the latest gen engine control module and the Global B architecture. So at the bottom of the description, there is going to be a link that's going to take you to, who guessed it, Gale Banks and Banks Engineering. And these people took a brand new Duramax and just tore it to pieces and compared it to the first gen L5P. So if you want to know microns and spring sizes and all of this BS, that gentleman says that this is a huge upgrade. I believe it to be so. I've driven the 24 over the 23, and I'll say that I also agree that the 24 is better. I'm not saying your guys' 23 is bad. I'm not saying your 2011 LML is bad. I'm not saying any of that. But if we're going to progress and keep the emission stuff, then I think we have to find a way to get better. And I think that the ways that they tweak this is going to help a lot with that. So head over to that link if you would like. Also hit the subscribe and like button on my videos. I appreciate you all being here. And just to let you guys know, I am at the finish line of either buying the 2024 GMC L5P, putting it against my Godzilla, or I'll buy the custom 6.6 gas. I haven't decided. I loved that diesel yesterday, and I just love that new interior. And when it comes down to it, I love Cummins diesels. I like all the Chevy diesels, even the old 6.5 and 6.2. I don't care. I like Ron Cole and all the Fords so far. So at the end of the day, we'll see you on the next one.